I want to touch on your relationship with your kids because it sounds like you've been very involved, really active, but at the same time, not necessarily like planning slash controlling their decision making and their experience as much because you mentioned, oh, if they want to stop somewhere, like whether or not I'm interested in it, like let's do it, of course, let's experience that. So what is, it sounds like you have a great relationship with your kids. What is your relationship with your kids like right now, like with your daughters? And were you actively forming something as they were growing up, or were you just like, what, let's just experience what we can as best we can, and however it shakes out, it shakes out?
Well, I think there's a balance. Like, we're not friends, like I'm their dad. And we've had this relationship their whole life where they're very polite and very well mannered. They're really great young women in every capacity. And, I can only take credit for part of that. They have a great mom who's had a lot to do with that, obviously. But you're never, you shouldn't, or at least I've always believed you shouldn't be friends with your kids. So we've never been friends. I've always been both. Like, I want to be there with them and I want to experience the things they want to experience. And I could probably tell you every episode of iCarly and Phineas and Ferb and every cartoon they've ever watched and everything they've ever been into, like I've been a part of. But by the same token, I'm also the person telling them to go clean their room. And when they don't clean their room, I take their toys away from them, you know? And so you have to be able to strike that balance of them understanding that you're still the one responsible for them and keeping them safe and teaching them who they need to be, but you also want them to make their own choices and be who they are. My two are really opposite. Now they're best friends, but they're so different. My youngest is like really buttoned up and getting ready for college and, good grades and, all the, newest fashion and all that. My oldest has blue hair and could care less about school and could tell you every anime ever created and plays video games till 4 a.m. It's like, they're just polar opposites, but they're both terrific at who and what they are. And I think you just have to respect them for that and not try to get them to be what you want them to be. You need to let them be who they want to be, and they will find that. And I think I've started to find that they both have some of my traits. They both have some of their mother's traits, and they really have a lot of their own traits, which is the amazing part to me, is like learning who they've become as adults. And that's the best part for me, is figuring out, I created this, but it's become something that I never imagined it would become,
Where's that line? Where's that line between um being, an effective parent and the type of parent that you want to be in order to raise the type of kids that you want to raise, and the friend line, like being crossed, almost like sacrificing the priority of, raising your kids the way you want them to be raised, and being a parent, and leaning a little bit too far into that friendly line? Have you encountered that? Have you seen that? Has that happened to you, or have you been good at sort of finding and keeping those boundaries the way they need to be kept?
It's hard. I'd be lying if I said I've always kept those boundaries perfect. There's certainly times where I've probably been far too casual with them. And then, the opposite of that could be true too at times. I think you always want, for me, it's always about making sure that, they are understanding the decisions they are making are their own. And there's ramifications for those decisions, obviously. Growing up for, young kids, it's usually homework and, not cleaning your room and dumb things like that. As they get older, you want to make sure they really understand what's going on. Like, I've always tried to find the moments in their life that I knew they would remember and really lean in on that. Like, I remember distinctly once when my girls were really young, they were in middle school, and some girl, a young girl in middle school, had taken some nude photos of herself and sent it to some boys. And these boys started sharing it. These are middle school students, dude. So you keep in mind, these are young kids. And, at that age, it's considered child porn. So these young boys had gotten picked up by the cops for it, and they're all the same age. So it wasn't like a porn ring,
Right.
but these are kids doing dumb things. And so, I had to sit my two kids down in middle school and talk to them about what happens when you take nudie shots of yourself. Like, you can't take that back, and what does that mean for these other kids? And what are the ramifications of that? And then you have the tough conversations, start asking, like, why do you think this young girl did this? And my youngest looks at me and goes, I don't know, Daddy, she's a hoe. That's exactly what she said to me.
I like how you remember this, like it's like seared into your mind.
Yeah. Well, you just don't expect to hear that stuff, So, so yeah, I think you just have to lean in on those moments and just make sure that you're making an impression so they remember it, and they do. I feel like I'm kind of constantly coaching and teaching. It's not that different than what we do at the gym. Like, you just, life happens and you have to explain what's going on around you. Like, you're going downtown, you have to explain to young people, hey, this isn't the safest place to be. You should make sure you're looking around. Don't take drinks from strangers. Like, we just take for granted that stuff at our age, or at least at my age, but someone has to teach you that. And so I've always made it a point to, make sure I've explained that as the best I could.